The following program is brought to you by Jack Miller.
It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Forget what they teach you in school. This is real life. Not Wall Street, but Main Street. Our guests will answer your questions and provide you with valuable information. Stay tuned and join in the conversation. Follow us on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at H.Jack Miller 1.
Hello, everyone. This is Jack Miller. I'm here with my main man, Todd Cohen. Todd, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, Jack. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We have a super exciting show today. Every week is
exciting. I know. I can't believe it.
But we have today the mayor of Miami Beach. That in itself is a huge thing. But this guy just spent the weekend in New Hampshire stumping for Secretary. I don't know what you call it, Senator Clinton. I think Secretary Clinton.
Did he see Diamond and Silk up there?
I don't know, but I want to talk to him about New Hampshire. He has a reputation. I'm going to ask him about this. I've heard this kind of through the grapevine, it being one of the hardest working mayors in America. Supposedly this guy works day and night, doesn't stop, build a successful business. He's also single. By the way, in the last few minutes, I got a few tweets, a few young ladies, I don't know how young they are, wanting to know about his single life. So maybe he'll divulge some of that.
This is Miami, so it could be any age. I think 0 to 90, 0 to 100 is really the range.
I want to talk to him about some serious issues that this country is facing, how to stop the divisiveness and gridlock in Washington. But really what I want to know is, does he get into the clubs for free? Do all the women kind of follow him around? He's the mayor of Miami. That has to carry a lot of street credibility, and if he's single. But let's bring him on.
Let's do it.
Mr. Mayor, are you with us?
I sure am. What a great introduction. My God, I'm going to bring you guys with me everywhere I go.
But I was going to ask you that. Actually, at the end of the show, I was going to jump into what is it like to be single and the mayor of, the hot spot of the world. Do you get into the clubs? Do you get, the ladies follow you around? I'm married for 30 years, so tell me some good stories, even if they're not true. Just make them up.
That's a great one. I got to tell you something. I think my mom loves this introduction because she's thinking, my God, she's like, we want to get you married at some point.
Well, Jack tries to make shit-ups everywhere.
The thing is, a lot of my friends say, you're the mayor of Miami Beach, you're single, it's this, it's that. And by the way, it's the greatest job in the entire world. But I swear I had more long-term wonderful relationships before I was mayor and then afterwards. Because once you're mayor and, you're in an environment, you're at an event, you're at a party, and you meet a nice woman, girl, and you want to say hi, and you're talking to her. The only problem is you have people all around you. Everyone's taking photographs, so it's kind of hard to ask for their telephone number.
Okay.
So, you have to have good wingmen. Let's put it that way.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'm willing, and I think my wife will give me permission to follow you around, be your wingman. I can do the interviewing. I can, we can go to the clubs. I'll let you talk politics and all that. But, no, seriously, I really do appreciate you being with us today. I do want to, besides talking about your single life, and I have received a bunch of tweets in the last literally 10 or 15 minutes wanting to know about it from ladies who I have no clue who they are. But
that's great. That's great. We'll have to send them our way to City Hall. How about that?
Yep.
I always say I'm the first openly elected single mayor of Miami Beach.
Right.
Pretty cool.
So this is a business show at heart. So tell us a little bit about Onboard Media, how that started and how that parlayed into politics.
Sure. Well, actually, what's funny? I actually graduated University of Michigan, majored in political science. Never thought in the middle years I'd use the actual political science degree. And I had no family business to go into, no company. I ended up working for an investment banking firm based in Miami and New York. I would look out the window. I was wearing my jacket and tie, and I hated it. And I thought, my God, I just can't do this my whole life. And I was in my early 20s. I used to look at the cruise ships and dream about being on one of those. I'd never really been on one and didn't know anybody in the industry. And believe it or not, I answered an ad in the Miami Herald. And the Royal Caribbean was looking for someone to go on board and be a lecturer about the ports of call, about where the ship's going. So I went on down there and interviewed, and I told them I have great public speaking experience, even though I had never done any public speaking in my life. And they hired me because they needed someone quick. And I found myself working on board a Royal Caribbean ship. And what ended up happening was I saw a great opportunity, and I saw an opportunity to start a company. And I ended up starting a company in Miami Beach above the News Cafe on Ocean Drive in the 80s when it was full of models and fun, cool people on Ocean Drive. And I built this business, and I ended up becoming the largest partner of the cruise industry in the world. And we ended up owning all the duty-free on board the ships, the magazine, the television, We expanded to Vegas and successfully sold the companies to Louis Vuitton, bought them all.
Wow.
And the moral of the story for me was I did something that I loved, that I thought I'd be good at. And I said, I don't really care. I don't care about money. I care about enjoying myself and really having fun. And when you do that in business, you end up doing really well. And, of course, financial success is just a byproduct of it. And I thought about, I love public service. I always wanted to give back. I love our city. And I couldn't stand seeing all these typical people that were in politics that were either in office or running for office that either A, had never really done anything in their lives, or B, were going to use the job to help their lives. And I saw that when I ran for mayor a few years ago. And I just took the plunge, and I did it.
And you won.
And the rest was history.
So what do you think the biggest opportunities, or what do you think of the business climate today? I'm not talking in Miami's a whole different world, but in the country, what do you think the biggest opportunities are for people and biggest challenges in the business climate today?
Well, you know what I think it is? I think there's always opportunity everywhere in every city in America. The great formula, the successful formula of the United States of America is the American dream. Coca-Cola has their syrup. It's locked away, the formula for their syrup in a vault. But if you said, what's our formula? Our formula is the American dream. And I think you can find it everywhere in every town, in every city, in every state in America today. And I think it's really kind of about doing what you love to do. And I think that when you look at healthcare, you look at high tech, you look at security industries, it's endless possibilities. I think it's for any person to go into these industries today, or it's unlimited, as well as hospitality.
So you don't think that it's harder today to start and be as successful in a business than maybe 20, 30 years ago?
No way. I think it's easier. Matter of fact, I remember, when I was graduating University of Michigan, and it was like, the 80s, and thinking, oh, my God, what could you do? I don't have a family business. And everyone would say, well, it was much easier 20 or 30 years ago. You're always going to hear that it was easier 20, 30 years ago. But I think that's not true. I think that you just got to look differently, think differently, and find the right opportunities. I mean, can you imagine? Think of Miami 20 or 30 years ago. It was nothing like it is today. There's so much more opportunities, so many more jobs, so many more creative, cool, unique things happening in every aspect of our society here. You didn't have that 20 or 30 years ago when I was a kid. Everybody wants to move here now.
I think you're right. You have to. I call it. You have to make your own economy. The world changes all the time. You have to kind of adjust with the times.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. Think about high tech. I mean, there was no opportunity in that world when I graduated, 20, 30 years ago. And today it's exploding, and it continues to explode.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, okay, I want to jump to this past weekend. I know you were in New Hampshire. You are a personal friend of President and Secretary Clinton, and I know you worked tirelessly for them this weekend. How cool was that to be kind of like at the center of, I don't want to say the world, but the center of activity for the Clintons and be stumping for them? And, how just cool is that? That must be just unbelievable.
It was so much fun. I mean, I'll tell you, in just the whole environment, the cold weather, the snow falling down, you're in this, Yankee Doodle area, the heartbeat, cornerstone of how America was founded up in New England, and watching democracy at its core, how it begins. They call them the first state in the Union, and just seeing everyone out there stumping. I found it fascinating. But, for me, it was a wonderful learning process. I enjoyed it, and I have such a great friendship and belief in Secretary Clinton for so many years, and it was my honor and my pleasure to be up there doing that.
How did that relationship begin? Most lay people, I guess, are probably curious how one becomes, friendly with I guess, arguably the most powerful couple in the country, and you became friends with them before you were even in politics. I understand.
Yeah,
right?
I'll tell you how, because it's real simple. So I was building my companies on Miami Beach, and just trying to make ends meet, and growing, and our company started to grow. And I started to get involved with one of our former mayors from a long time ago, who was and is a great friend, member Mayor Pinellas, Alex Pinellas. And Alex was very involved with the Democratic Party, and I got involved. And at a couple of different Democratic Party events, I would, meet the president who came down. And, of course, he didn't know who I was. I was wearing a little name sticker that said Philip Levine. And after seeing him 2 or 3 times or 5 times, he would start to say, well, I kind of remember that kid from Miami. I met him at some events. So at a certain point, Al Gore was running for president, and they asked me if I would consider hosting an event at my home for the president of the United States. I And I said, of course. Are you kidding? My God, that would be the greatest honor in the world. So I ended up hosting President Clinton while he was president at my home for an event for the Democratic Party to help Vice President Gore. And the event went beautifully. I like to introduce the president to kind of like the who's who that were at my house that were there. And obviously, I didn't invite them. They were invited for me. And the president said to me, he said, Philip, why don't you drive back with me to Air Force One? I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. So the next thing you know, I'm in the presidential limousine. There's no cars on the road. We're going back to Air Force One at Miami International Airport. And we had some very wonderful, great conversations. I mean, he liked the fact that I started from nothing, came from similar background, divorced parents, and we bonded. And he had said, let me know when you're back up in Washington. I'd love you to come and meet me at the White House, and maybe you'll stay over sometime. And that happened, and stayed over in the White House. And he and I became friendly, and it was interesting because I laugh. When I was no longer president of my companies, when I sold them all, he was no longer president, like around 2000. So I had a lot of free time. He had free time, and he asked me a couple of times, and if you want to come travel with him, he was speaking over in Australia, or he was speaking here. Why don't you come with me? Next thing you know, I found myself during this period of time traveling with him quite a bit all over the world, meeting kings, queens, presidents, prime ministers, and everywhere you can imagine in every country, and just built a huge relationship with him and his secretary over many, many years. It really started simply and just grew over a long period of time until it was today.
You are one cool guy. That's all I can say.
That's right. What are your favorite restaurants or hangouts in Miami Beach as the mayor? I mean, I don't know if you want to give favor to anyone in particular, but what are your favorites?
God, we have so many, but I got to tell you, kind of the hottest neighborhood, and I have to put a full disclosure because we're very involved, and we've been involved in developing it, is Sunset Harbor. We have a new Japanese Thai place called Nayara, which is Chef D's restaurant, which is just great. Of course, Icebox from Lincoln Road is there, and Lucali Pizza from Brooklyn is there, and up in North Beach, you have a great place called Las Vacas Gordas, which is a wonderful steak place. Prima Pasta in North Beach is amazing. It's literally what's incredible about Miami Beach is that it's endless. I mean, we can go through so many cool neighborhoods that are in so many great areas to go, and new hotels that are just, they spring up constantly here.
That's cool. Mayor, we have to take a break. Bear with us for about, I think it's 2.5, 3 minutes. When we get back,
sure.
I want to talk about the convention center. I want to talk about, I think there's a referendum on a hotel, and I want to talk some more national politics. So, everyone, we'll be back in 2-3 minutes.
Don't turn that dial. We will be right back.
Here we go.
Are you tired of dealing with unreliable banks and brokers who charge upfront fees and never deliver on their promises? You don't have to. Gelt Financial Corporation has been in business since 1989 and offers a stated income loan program for non-owner-occupied residential and commercial real estate investors. No tax returns required. What are you waiting for? Call Gelt Financial right now at 561-221-0900. Again, that's 561-221-0900. 561-221-0900.
Did you invest in a non-liquid real estate partnership? Do you want and need liquidity? There's finally an answer. Quick Liquidity is a direct buyer of real estate minority interest and tenants in common investments across the country. To find out if we would buy your non-liquid investment, call us at 561-221-0881 or visit us at quickliquidity.com. That's quickliquidity.com. If you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, call attorney Dan Kaskow, 561-237-6822. Mr. Kaskow is board certified by the Florida Bar as an expert in real estate law. He's been practicing law for more than 20 years and is a partner in the law firm of Sachs Kaplan with offices in Boca Raton and Tallahassee. Dan Kaskow handles real estate, corporate, condominium, and homeowner association matters throughout Florida. From residential purchases and sales, bulk buying and selling of condominium units, to purchases and sales of commercial properties. Contact attorney Dan Kaskow at 561-237-6822 for your real estate, corporate, and community association legal needs. Attorney Dan Kaskow, 561-237-6822. Non-attorney spokesperson for attorney Dan Kaskow.
For up-to-date news, the latest info, contests, and more, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at 880TheBiz.
Where money talks.
Welcome back to It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Follow us on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.
Hello, everyone. This is Jack Miller. I'm here with Todd Cohen, and we're lucky enough to have the mayor of Miami Beach, Mayor Philip Levine, on the phone. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for sticking out the break. I want to bring up something that I heard, and I don't know if you can comment on it or not, but a bunch of people, when I brought up your name to me, said that the guy is one of the hardest working guys they've ever met. And to the listeners who, you've had such an accomplished life and all this stuff, I just want to see how much, I don't want to say, what do you say about hard work today? Because it seems a lot of people don't want to work hard.
Well, you know what? I think it all depends on, do you love what you do? So when I was building my companies, I loved it. And I still love running businesses. When I decided to run for mayor, I loved the campaign. It was so much fun. And when I became mayor, I loved the job. And I tell people all the time, I said, A, it's the hardest job I ever had. B, it's the most fun job I ever had. And C, it's definitely the most expensive job I ever had. Because I don't take a salary, I don't take expenses. I do it because I love it. And I think the moral of the story always is if you love what you do, it's not work. And it's just one of these things where I think there's a lot of people that work very hard out there. There are people that are driving buses for Dade County that are working incredibly hard and long hours. And I think that, it's people are working hard everywhere. And I think that I happen to be maybe in a more visible position, so people see me out there, they see me doing it, so maybe that's more visible. But I think that we have a community of Dade County and Miami Beach where you have many people working incredibly hard to make ends meet. I got to tell you a funny story. Today I was driving on Alton Road, and literally I saw a FedEx truck double parked on our road. I mean, literally I was losing my mind. I parked my car, got outside, talked to the driver, took a videotape, talked to our police chief, talked to one of our majors, and I said, we don't need to tell FedEx again to do this. Stop blocking our roads. We got enough traffic. We can't have it. But that spirit of kind of being hands-on, getting out there, doing it yourself, not asking someone else to do it, just do it yourself. And I think that's an important motto and kind of a culture that we've created in the government of Miami Beach. And that's everyone takes responsibility.
Well, that's right.
And that's not the unluckiest FedEx guy in the country.
Now, you mentioned that you forego your salary. Do you donate that to charity? I think I heard. Is that?
Yes, exactly. We formed a charity within the city called One Miami Beach, and we've used that money for that purpose. And we give it out across the beach depending on what this specific area is and what the needs are. I laugh. I said I got one check from the city of Miami Beach. I get it every year. It's for 99 cents.
That's
put
amazing.
it on the wall.
Gotcha.
And,
amazing.
But listen, it's just because I'm fortunate enough that I became successful at a young age, and for me, this is a great opportunity to give back to the city that I really do love.
Right.
So let me ask you, I want to jump to national politics. And I know you're a huge supporter of the Clintons, giant supporter, I shouldn't use the word huge, giant supporter of the Clintons. Do you think that it's time, or she's going to have to retool the campaign or the message at this point? And, I don't, by the way, when I use the word retool, I have a business too, and I retool every day. So I don't mean it in a negative way. It's constantly refining. But is now sort of a defining moment for her campaign?
Sure, and I think that one of the things we all know about the media and the news, and because I've built a media company as well, is we all survive on advertising. So what you saw out of New Hampshire was the entire Clinton campaign, and including myself, had said over and over again, there's no way in the world she can win. There's no way in the world she can be competitive, because we have a senator that's been in that media market for 30 years in New Hampshire and Vermont. So it's not even possible. She won Iowa, but we knew she couldn't win New Hampshire. Now we're talking about Nevada and South Carolina, where you see her double digits ahead in the polls. The thing about it is that New Hampshire does not demographically represent what America is today. I mean, these are states that have like a 90-something%, white, Anglo. And I don't think that South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, or California, or any of these places have anything similar to New Hampshire. So maybe 50 years ago, a state like New Hampshire was a real indicator of what it was, but it's not anymore. And I remember something else. I know a guy that became a 2-term president of the United States of America, and he lost Iowa and he lost New Hampshire. His name is Bill Clinton. So, I don't think anyone's worried. I think the media plays it up because they want a competitive race. They need to sell advertising. We know how that works. But I think as far as retooling your message, you're always doing that. I mean, Secretary Clinton is somebody that she has years of experience. She's devoted her life to this cause. She knows what she has to do. Can she refine the message more? Yeah, probably. I think that's a good idea. But I don't think there's any panic or any alarm bells or lifeboats aren't dropping from the ship, I can tell you that.
But it seems to me that whether you're looking at the Trump phenomenon or the Sanders phenomenon, that there's angst in America. People are scared. They're hurting. They're just, they're upset.
Well, they're also upset at the system itself.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
And do you think that the Secretary Clinton, that message of angst is resonating to the Clintons?
And I think that she's probably going to need to do a better job letting the people understand that she understands their pain and that she gets it. I think that you're looking at, it's interesting, we're looking at hiring a CEO of the United States of America. And we have a CEO that understands the job and has done it, and has a resume and experience to do it. We have 2 other folks there. One is a rich guy that started on third and thinks he hit a triple, obviously, Donald Trump is not necessarily representative of the American dream because when your dad starts with $300 million, you don't really do it from nothing. And then, of course, on the other end of the spectrum, we have a senator who's brought a great level of competitiveness to the race. And I think that Senator Sanders has done a great job kind of increasing and expanding the dialogue in the Democratic Party. And as an entrepreneur, I'm all about competition, so I like competition. But, when you look at his message, I mean, he's espousing a socialist revolution. And like I said the other day on an interview, I said, I know a little something about socialist revolutions. I come from Florida. Matter of fact, we've experienced them in Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua. It doesn't work out too well for the people. Matter of fact, I know that because all those people now live in Miami, okay? So we don't necessarily think that a socialist revolution is something that will play well around the United States of America.
No, it'll be. I think I agree. It'll be a disaster. Let me ask you a question. Let's say Secretary Clinton wins. What do you think that will change the gridlock or the current system of bipolarization in America? Because it seems to me that the word compromise over the past 20 or 30 years is like a bad word to some people. And it just seems that whoever is in office, whether it be Obama, Bush, Clinton, whoever, that is it going to be, when I say more of the same, more just government, I don't want to say doing nothing, but just gridlock. How do we break that down?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that the only way you could answer that question is based on history. So when Secretary Clinton was a United States Senator from New York, she was there for 6 years. She got unbelievable accolades from Republicans and Democrats because she did work across the aisle. You had every Republican from Senator Lindsey to you name them saying, what a great senator. She's wonderful. She's amazing. We love working with Senator Clinton. All of a sudden she decides she's running for president. She's the devil. So, it's always like that in politics. I think that she will have a much easier time because she knows the ropes. She knows how to get around. She knows the Senate body. She understands how to work with Congress. Obviously in Senator Sanders' side, it's different. I don't know how they're going to react to a left-wing socialist president, God forbid, which I don't think is ever going to happen. But I think that will be more challenging. So I think that we need to lower the tenor. I think that we need more people to get into politics. I mean, I look at myself on Miami Beach. I mean, I ran as a change agent. I ran because I couldn't stand what was going on in the city.
Right.
I couldn't stand all these people getting nothing done. They were mirrored in analysis paralysis.
Yep.
And I think that what America's looking for, to a large extent, is more people to go into public service that have that really crazy, weird, unique, strange thing in their background called a job.
Right.
They just want you to have a job. And they don't care if you're a bartender or a busboy. They just want to know that you've had a job and that you're not just a government person. And I think that we need more people to step up and run for office. And I hope more people do.
The problem is good people, with the exception of you who are, I don't want to say independently wealthy, but why would the average Joe, I look at me and say, why would the average guy want to run for it and have people bash your head in all day long? It seems to me torturous, but.
I hear you. So look, I mean, you touched on Miami Beach again, and we're both in the real estate industry, and I know that Miami Beach real estate right now is like the hottest thing on the planet. How much of your job has been co-opted by the surge in real estate, and how much of your day is spent, analyzing new projects that are being brought to you and that kind of thing?
Well, we have a whole process for any new development. And truthfully, in the last 2.5 years since I've been mayor, we have really not approved any significant new development in Miami Beach at all. I think we have one project up in North Beach, which is a small project on the ocean. But otherwise, we have not really allowed any development because we don't want to have more gridlock in our streets. We're about smart growth, controlled growth, not rampant growth. And that's been something that I said in the original campaign and something that we have stuck to because, as you know, I've been pushing forward, and we're moving forward aggressively to put in a streetcar system in Miami Beach because we need it. We need to get less cars. We need more people using public transportation.
So what's going on with the convention center? I mean, is there no new development plan for that?
Well, let me say about our convention center. When I ran for office, they were going to do this massive, huge development where we're going to put in $500 to $600 million, and I mean we, the city, and we would transfer control and ownership of the most valuable acreage in our entire city, which is, of course, the convention center campus. And I thought that was just a bad deal and a dumb deal and a schmuck's deal. And I campaigned on it, and I said, if I'm elected mayor, I'm going to cancel that deal. So lo and behold, I won, and I canceled that deal. And then what I said is we're going to bifurcate this deal. We're going to put it in two separate steps. Number one, let's renovate our convention center ourselves. The money's already there. Let's do it ourselves. Therefore, we do not have to transfer that land or give it away to a third-party developer. So we have begun reconstruction of our convention center. That started in December. We're also now going to have a 6-acre green space park because I felt that Miami Beach needs more green space. So that entire parking lot in front of the convention center is now going to be a green space park. But I always felt that we don't need a hotel. Why do we need a convention center hotel? I was always kind of relatively against it. But then I did some research, and I listened to convention planners, travel planners, organizations and companies that were thinking of coming to Miami Beach. And they all said to me, Mayor, you're not right. Let me tell you, every city has hotels, but every modern convention center has a convention center hotel attached to it. And I was convinced, and I changed my mind. Listen, in business, I've learned I'm not always right, and I don't need to be right. I just want to get it right. And now we have on the table a proposal at no cost to the city or taxpayers for a group, one of the highest respected groups out of Atlanta, to do a hotel next to our convention center on a piece of land the city owns, and the city would be a partner on it. The city would generate revenue to us for transportation, for education, for anti-flooding, and we get a convention center hotel at no cost. And the question is, does that generate traffic? And we've done a traffic study that says no, it doesn't, because what it does is that people fly in now, stay at the hotels. You attract a different type of convention as opposed to a commuter consumer convention, which we have now. And those people who stay at that hotel, they walk to the convention center and they walk to Lincoln Road. So I think it's right for our city, but, the city has to decide whether they think it's right. It's going to be on the referendum on March 15th during the presidential preference ballot.
Mayor, we only have 2 minutes, and I know Todd has one quick question for you.
I don't know how quick it is, but it's on a lot of people's minds. I read a great article about it in Time Magazine, and obviously every time there's a full moon, you see it in Miami Beach. But what is being done really actively right now to prevent the flooding and the eventual, overtaking of the sea of Miami Beach?
Let me answer that question because you can imagine I've answered it a few times already.
Right.
I always laugh when I got elected. Some people get swept into office. I got floated into office. And what we did is immediately put a plan together, a $400 million plan. Alton Road, West Avenue, Sunset Harbor used to be underwater during king tides. We raised the roads. We put in major pumps. We raised the seawalls. Those areas now are 100% dry all year round. We're doing that program all across our entire city to make Miami Beach the most resilient city, and we become a model and across the country. And, of course, we're paying it ourselves. We've got no state or federal help. And unfortunately, the state has a road called Indian Creek, which is their road that floods multiple times a year. And we are trying very hard to get the state to recognize sea level rise and climate change and fix their own road. So it's a fight with the state, but we have made some tremendous progress, and Miami Beach is going to be high and dry for at least another 100 to 200 years, that's for sure.
Great.
Mr. Mayor, you are doing a heck of a job. I don't live in Miami Beach, but I appreciate it on behalf of everyone in Miami Beach. I really appreciate your time today. I know how busy you are. I want to reiterate my offer. If you ever need a wingman, someone to run interference. Wingmen.
Anytime. Come on over, guys.
I definitely will. Thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to having you on again. And I just can't thank you enough for your time. Everyone else, stay with us. We'll be back in a few minutes.